Yeah, we can start, I think.
Let's do it.
So I've got
Reports, right?
I've got three ways with snow, basically, as that's the theme for our challenge this month. I thought I'd do a bit of that. One's a procedural, just a normal shader. Next, I'll show the real snow add-on, and it's not a bad add-on, but it's got some limitations. And then I've come up with a GeoNodes snow thing as well, so we can go through that. And also, I quickly yesterday just had a look at helicopter blade rotation using the shader, so I can show that as well.
Yeah, I'd love to see that one too.
It's not actually a proper animation. It's not a helicopter with that I've done all the stuff. I've just shown the shader, basically. That's all I've really got time to do. Are you, Spikey? Have you got anything you planned?
A few things to start up to warm up. I think between your snow episodes, a little bit, not too much, and then afterwards I have a procedural flag I'm going to make, just as a demo, with explanation how it's done. It's a very simple one. It has some
that should be good.
fun things in it.
Yeah. And Sean, you got anything you wanna, or are you just gonna give us some tips on what we're doing?
Your microphone's off. You're muted.
I'm muted. Sorry.
That's it. Got you now.
That got me now. Yeah. So if we have time towards the end, and I can start sharing how I did some of the snow on top of the roof of my house that I'm working on for the December challenge. If anybody was interested, it's not a fairly hard workflow. So that'd be the only thing I'd share. I'm just going to be on the lookout when people join for the chat.
Yeah. Look out for any questions as well. Omar's not here as well, is he?
No, he said he might not come. Try, but
Yeah, that's fine.
yeah.
Okay, so I'll share my blender now, and we'll get started. Okay, you got me?
Yep.
Got it?
Okay, so this is I just did this as part of I was trying out some different things when I was coming up with this thing for the challenge as an advert kind of thing, and I come up with 3 ways of doing it. What I'm using here is this snow is I'm using the GeoNode snow that I've come up with, and that doesn't look too bad actually. What do you think?
It's good. It's good.
Let me go in a bit closer and show you. Not
Yeah,
too bad.
Can you add a light to like get some surface reflection showing the snow?
I think I have got a light in there, but I've hidden it, so there you go.
There we go. That can really, that showcases it a lot.
Yeah, from the camera view it looks pretty good. On the right hand side there.
Yeah, it looks great.
It's cold. Nice speckles.
The ice looks good too.
Yeah, that was just from Chris Bailey on CG Cookie's YouTube channel.
Yeah. I've seen that one.
A little while ago he did one, didn't he? I think it is actually exactly the same. Let's have a look. I don't think I even changed anything. No, I didn't. That's it. Really simple.
Just a little noise texture with some roughness and noise.
Yeah, it was getting the noise right. I think was the main thing to make it look good enough. Because if it's too smooth, it doesn't look right. If it's too bumpy, it don't look right either. But getting it right.
Ice can be displayed in a lot of ways. Depends upon the kind of ice you're going for, right?
Yeah, it doesn't look so good when I switch it to cycles. Although that hasn't changed. Oh, I've got to change me.
You gotta go to the render mode.
Yeah, it looks a bit. Even the snow goes a bit blue because it's picking up a lot of the bounce lighting, isn't it, from around the scene? But it looks a bit weird.
Yeah, but if you changed your HDRI to something else, it would pick up a lot of that color too, and your ice and snow.
Yeah, let's just change the. See what we got. Let's do this one. It looks. There you go. Gives it a different colour. I think it still looks a bit blue though, that snow. Still
That's
got
just
some
a touch.
It's a subsurf we're using.
Yeah, it probably is.
Which one?
No, I haven't
Click
got
on the snow
subsurfer.
material.
Random walk.
Oh,
If you
The
switch
snow.
switch to fixed radius in the random walk.
I've got the snow material on a different object. Yeah. Let's bring that down a bit.
And change it to fixed radius. Random walk fixed radius.
Under the subsurface radius. Yeah.
Fixed radius.
Yeah. Might help. Not always. Good.
Yeah.
Closed volume, is it watertight? Or not?
Yeah, they're icospheres, so and the geometry nodes, so
Oh, but they might be too small.
possibly, yeah.
So you
Anyway,
have to-
I only did it. I only did it for to quickly to put something together for EV. So
but you'd have to change
But-
the subsurface radius probably
yeah,
because the icospheres are so small.
let's go back to where we were.
That doesn't matter.
I think that has a lot better coloring though now. On Eevee.
Well, the snow.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it was on the subsurf was on 0.2, so
But I think Eevee doesn't even use the random walk, if I'm correct.
I probably had that a bit too high anyway. Anyway, from a distance it looks fine.
Yep.
But I'll show you that in a minute. I'll go through the others first. Let's get rid of that. Let's go back to that. Don't need that. That'll do. And then I've got this shader. Let me turn those lights back on. That's it. This is just a basic procedural shader for snow. Very basic, but that don't look too bad. As yeah, it all depends what your scene's looking like. If it's fine for like a maybe low poly scene, we just add a bit of colour. I think the specular could probably go off a bit, although it's not really showing. It's there, but it's very small. So yeah, that's not too bad. That's this shader. I've put it into a group as well. This was basically based off Jonathan Lampell's lesson in the fundamentals of adding snow. He goes through the lesson where he adds leaves and everything, and then he adds snow as the last step. So that's where that come from. Hang on, I think my Blender's not showing an OBS for some reason. Is it showing at your end?
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah, it's showing forever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just not showing on my OBS screen. But it should be there. It's recorded Discord, so. Anyway.
Now it looks good for like a shallow snow or like a thin covering.
Yeah, just
Is there a
for
way to beef up with the strength on the normal?
Yeah, I've got quite a low distance on that. Let's put 0.1. There you go. It's a bit better.
That adds a little bit more.
Huh?
Yeah, that adds a little bit more, doesn't it? Just a touch.
Yeah, 0.1's probably. I mean, the closer you get, the more you can see it's just a fake bump. But yeah, this was just based off Jonathan Lampell's course, and then I changed it around and took out the all the rest of the shader that he had, and then just put this into a group. So it's just
to focus on the snow.
Just for the snow itself, yeah. But this is quite easy. I mean, if you've got an object, you can easily just add it to a scene. So say you've got an object that's already got its own material, like a nice brown monkey. All you need to do is drop in a mix shader, plug this into the bottom, and then I've drawn the factor out as well, so that you get the same, using the same material and just laying it over the top basically. So if you've already got a model that you've done, and you've done all your textures and your materials, you can just then drop this in so easily with just a mix.
Oh, that's nice.
So I was thinking of if anybody wanted that, if anyone watching later on the recording, if you want this, just let me know and I'll share it with everyone.
Yeah, I'd like to play with it too.
I'll put it in the chat probably tomorrow then. I'll just share the Blender file.
Okay.
And then the next one, the only thing with this one is that there is no depth. What I was going to do, and I never really got time to do it, is you could just add a displacement and add that in as well. You know, if you wanted to add some displacement to it, obviously you'd have to then make sure your model is dense enough, and then obviously you can just plug that straight in for that, but I've not got anything on there at the moment. Okay, so that's that one. The next one is the Real Snow add-on. And I wanted to show this because it's free with Blender. It just needs to be turned on in your preferences. Let's find it. Real Snow. There it is. Comes free with Blender. Just got to enable it. And then what this does, it gives you a coverage, so you can adjust your coverage. The problem with this add-on is you can't actually see anything until you've committed to it. So where it's the default is 100% coverage and a height of 0.3, and that works in meters, so it's like 30 centimeters. and then you click Add Snow, it gives you a new collection with a snowball item, and that is what you've got there. The trouble is that you can't actually modify this after the fact. Once you've clicked Add Snow, it's there, and you can't do anything with it. I mean, you can go into edit mode and you can see the mesh, and you can change it around if you wanted to, but you can't really. It's set in stone basically, or set in snow if you like, which is a bit of a limitation for me.
But if you change the coverage and then say
Yeah, that's no longer usable. Once you've clicked Add Snow, it's there. It's another object, and what it does, how it works, it uses a particle system of metaballs, and then applies that particle system and now it's a mesh, and converts it to a mesh. So that's it. That's what you get. So this coverage up here is not going to do anything now. It's not going to do anything. You can't change the height. You can't do anything. Sorry?
if you say 50% coverage and add snow again, then it does it on top of the other one, probably.
It does, yes.
Yeah.
I just played with it on my screen.
Yeah.
The other object is still there.
Yeah, you've still got your plane. It's still there, but it actually gives you another object. Now the other thing with this, let me do it again. So if I do about 67% and increase the height a bit, add snow, you can see what that's done. So it's reduced the coverage and increased the height. But what it's done is added another object in that collection with the same name, basically. I think it should take the name of the object you start with and just add snow to it. So if it's like plane, snow, cube, snow, rather than having all these, because once you go through it, once you've got a whole scene full of snow, which one's which? You don't know, do you? Which is a bit. So it's a. This is why I was playing with it for that challenge scene, and it just was so frustrating to get it right. And then if I wanted to change that, I've got to find that object, delete it, start again, change something, change all that, add snow. No, still not right. Delete it again.
So one thing that it does do is it makes it a child of the object you added snow to.
It does, yeah. So if you got your cube and then you move that around,
that is nice.
It does make it a child of that object, yeah. So that's good that you can actually move things around your scene and it's still there. The other limitation is the height, the Z angle. You can't change that either. So where you might have like a fairly steep roof on a building that you want to add snow to, like for example that cone, if you got a steep angle, add snow, it's added an object but there's no snow.
Yeah, I'm finding that limitation as I'm playing on the side of my scene.
And it's quite
I have a really steep roof.
Yeah, it's quite a narrow angle. If I was to take this and scale that, let's delete that one and do that again. There you go. It's got some snow there, but you need quite a fairly narrow angle. There's no way of changing it, which is a bit of another limitation to it. And like I said, once you've added snow, you can't change it. It's nothing to change. So you have to delete it and start again and keep playing with it. But the good thing about it does look nice. It looks pretty good snow. I do like the snow. The material there is fairly complex. I mean,
Yeah, for non-super angled vertical heights, it actually does a good job
Yeah.
for getting quick snow. I'm
Yeah.
quite impressed.
The only problem is that if you wanted to change it, you can't change it. You've got to delete it and start again. But then, having said that, it's not loads of settings you need to go through. You might just want to adjust it or change your mind, and then all you got to do is click Add Snow again.
Yeah, or you can go into sculpt mode. There's quite a bit of geo you can move around.
Yeah, you could.
If you go into the modifier of the snowball, maybe you can change something there because there's a modifier on it.
Yeah, those are just you've got a decimate and a subdivide. That's all that's there. That's not really going to help you that much.
No, it doesn't.
So, but yeah, as for the only other option you've got with it is you can go into edit mode and select certain faces. So if we just select a few faces, go back to object mode, and those faces will still be selected. You can use selected faces. Let's pump that up to 100%. Let's bring that down a bit. And add snow, and it will just add to those faces.
Yeah, I like that.
It obviously overlaps the other faces a little bit, but
Well, that's what metaballs do, so that
Yeah.
makes sense.
which is quite a good option as well. So you might not want it on every part of your model, but on selected parts, and you can select certain faces in it. So that's a good option. I like that. And like I said, it does look quite nice. You know, it's got some. It's not totally flat. It's got a bit of shape to it. So that's that one. Next one is close that. GeoNode Snow. Which is this one. And let's switch to geometry nodes. There you go, and that's the geometry node setup. Fairly simple, really. We start off with, and it's got the base mesh fed through and into a join geometry node, so that we keep that as well. So you can quickly just add it to any mesh, any model. So we start with an icosphere instance on faces, and we can control the normal angle, the Z angle of the normals. So what I've got here is on the input some controls here. Let's just go through those. It'd be easier to explain it that way. So at the top we've got density, so we can adjust that and we can bring that down. Obviously it starts to look like a bunch of miniature snowballs, but we got also on here scale minimum, scale maximum, so we can scale those up so it doesn't look so bad. And I also added a subdivision on there as well, so you can have a look, but it all depends what you're looking for. You can adjust things, the depth.
Oh, nice.
So just play around it until you find something like you want. To get a nice ground snow, I found that having the scale minimum and maximum the same, and the density right up, and you got a nice smooth, like a fresh layer of snow. But then it depends what you want to play with, what your scene's going to look like to what you want. So you can bring that down. It starts to get a bit like a bunch of snowballs, like a cauliflower at certain points, but you know, it's a matter of playing around with it. But the thing is with this, unlike the real snow, you can actually play around with it until you come up with what you want. So that's that. What else we've got in here? I added a set material node as well, so you can use your material, your snow material, or you can change that to something different. Literally just change if you've got a material in your scene,
Oh, cool. I like that.
you can just change it to any one you got. I've got a couple of snow materials. So yeah, that one looked a bit better, that one. That's the snow from the real snow, so you could use that. That's the shader from the real snow, which looks pretty good. That's like a cauliflower head. I suppose that's the new meaning to cauliflower ears, is it? You think that looks like a cauliflower? Cauliflower ears. The only problem I had with this was on the ears where the mesh is quite thin. Once you start bringing the depth up, because it increases the scale, it starts to come through the back.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So, but then, you know, it's just a matter of just playing with it slightly and bringing it down. And there's not many times you're going to have thin mesh like this anyway. On, you know, but it's not too bad. And then we've got the Z direction, so we can change that to what we want. So it's more on top. Where's that gone? There. So we can bring that right down. And it's just on the tips.
That's taking the curvature into account.
No, that's just up here. What we got. I played around with this and I ended up confusing myself a little bit. But that's this section here. Spikey will probably be able to work it out better than me. I was just playing with it and.
Yeah, I don't really understand.
So what you got is you got the I kept these to a 0 to 1 scale, all of these, because it's easier to know what you're looking at then. So everything's 0 to 1. So on the Z, because it worked out that a -9 was probably where I wanted to be as a minimum. Let's bring that depth down again. And 0.5 was like the maximum of the Z direction. So that and I just used that map range to bring that to line up with 0 to 1. So it's easier to see what you're doing on the settings over here. And then that goes into a combine XYZ and it's added to the normal dot product. I'm not even going to attempt to explain what that does, but
well, but the dot product. If you plug that in the selection is actually is that a boolean? Like true and false?
Selection is it's the selection, isn't it? It's the selecting the points.
Yeah, but
Or the
which
faces.
point am I going to select?
Which faces you're putting the points on.
yeah, but how does it? Is it in true and false? Like 0 is false and the rest is true, or something like that?
Well, it's random faces, isn't it? I'm not sure
Yeah.
exactly.
I think he's talking about the socket color. If you zoom into that socket, what's the color of the socket?
Oh, it's
It doesn't matter what the color, but what does it do? Is it a boolean? I think it's a boolean.
Yeah,
It means that if
it is boolean.
it's 0,
yeah, it's just going to
like-
select random faces, isn't it? So it's either selected or it's not selected.
Yeah, but when is it selected?
Well,
If it's not 0, I think. So with booleans, 0 is false and everything else is true, if I'm not mistaken. So that means if something is 0, it's not selected and everything else is selected.
That's probably right.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't see it in my head like what the dot product is giving for values. So how does that select? It's not something I completely understand immediately. Let me tell it this way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so typically the socket color actually tells you the data that's going to be used. If it's a pink socket, it's going to be a Boolean.
Yeah, so it's a Boolean.
Yeah.
The purple sockets are going to be vectors, and the gray sockets are float values.
Yeah.
Green sockets are going to be whole numbers.
I'm still getting used to geometry nodes, but there's more maths involved with this. My maths ain't great.
Yeah, I developed
I can get by, but
they made their socket colors match geometry nodes so that people could develop geometry nodes add-ons and things and not get confused with different socket colors.
yeah.
I'm not a pro at geometry nodes either, but I do know I do know a little bit about their sockets.
So then the depth, we get the depth. That actually, what that does is we bring the depth in, that comes into here, and that changes the radius of our icosphere. So what I've got here is, instead of just having the radius, as we go up, as what you'll see here, let's take that subdivision down. As it goes up, we've got 0.2 there, and I think we get to about 0.48, and then it'll add a subdivision, and that's what this is doing. So we're multiplying that number by 10 and then rounding it up to be, so it matches the subdivision. So that's, I think, one subdivision. It'll go up a bit further, and then to about 0.8. You see it, there you go, another subdivision. So as the depth gets bigger, the subdivision goes up.
That's good.
Otherwise,
I like that.
otherwise what will happen if I bring that back down to 1,
It's getting really clunky fast.
and it's going to look very blocky, sharp corners and edges, and it didn't look right, so I added that in just so it, as it goes up, so it multiplies this number and then rounds it up to give you a whole number. But there are points, so basically if you say you wanted your depth about there and you don't want to go any higher with your depth, you've still got some sharp corners and edges and stuff. That's why I added another subdivision here. You could just add one subdivision, which that comes from over here. We've got a subdivision, goes up here, and we've got a subsurface node in there, and that just adds 1. It only goes up to 1, otherwise it's going to go, if you start pumping this up, it's going to go too far, especially if you've already got this full on. If you then added another 2 or 3, I mean, my blender's starting to slow down now. So we've got 2 over there and 1 here. We've got 3 subdivisions.
Yeah, otherwise your computer will get too hot.
Yeah, so if I want to take this down again, and that's better. It's nice and smooth again. But yeah, you can see it as it comes up about 0.48, I think it kicks in. There you go. See that as it comes up?
Yeah, I like that a lot. That's such a sweet feature to add. A seamless experience, just about.
And it's still not, I mean, that's probably at 1, I think that's at 1 subdivision there, which is enough there. Like I say, if you wanted your depth somewhere like that, and you're thinking, oh, that don't look nice, that, you know, got these sharp corners, we can add 1 anyway. So what else have we got on there? We've got the material, the scale, minimum, maximum. That just comes into the instance on point scale and rotation on there, scale into a random value, and we can just adjust that. So it's random between 0.2 and 1 at the moment. And that's it on that.
Do you have a seed selector at all that you would do for the randomizations?
No, I've just got a random, not a seed. Where's the seed? The seed's over here. No, I've got nothing plugged into that.
But that's
So
another
that's
cool feature
another
of
one
geometry nodes.
you could add, yeah.
You could pump in just one input for seed and plug it into the seeds that you want it to start affecting. And that way you still have a random min and max, and you can just play with the seed to get a different look.
Yeah, I mean, if you were bringing your, especially if you wanted your density down a bit, you might want to
specifically for density, it's a really handy
change
feature
that around a bit, yeah.
And you could make that an input and then just have it affect on the front of the modifier.
Just plug that in there straight away, and you've got a seed value.
You get distracted all day with the seeds.
Yeah. You can keep playing around with that all day, can't you? Looking for something you like. But yeah, it's a good idea actually, for especially when your density's a bit lower, you can play around with it to look something a bit better. Yeah, you can get some different looks with it.
I like it. I like that you can add the material too. That's a sweet feature.
Yeah. So you know, whatever material you've got, you can add your ice to it. So you've got like ice crystals on your head. But yeah. And to add it to, I mean, if you got another object as well, let's add in, what should we add? Let's add a torus for a change. All you need to do with that, let's just give that material as well in the shader. Let's choose red. No, we've got red. Suzanne, let's go with purple. And then all you need to do is add a geometry node modifier and select the geometry nodes, and you've got another one there, and it just brings it in with the default. And these controls will be separate, so you can see there I'm changing this one but not the other one, so you can adjust it for different meshes. And it's that simple, just to add it to another object.
You need to call Blender Guru. You just made a snow donut.
Icing on your donut, yeah. There you go. There's proper ice.
Spiky.
Proper icing, look.
There you go. Proper icing.
I'm starting to slow down now. I've got so much going on. Yeah, Spikey's gone. He's left us.
Yeah, we lost him. He'll be back.
Alright, so that's it. That's my 3 ways of snow. But I like the geometry nodes because you got more control over it than the real snow. You can get some different effects. You can add different material. You can change your Z angle just on the fly, rather than with the real snow. Once you've pressed your button, that's it. But like you say, you could go into sculpt mode and play around with it. So what I'll do is I'll share this probably tomorrow or Monday, this file. Anybody who wants it can have it.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I'd love to play with it in my scene. I think it could take it to the next level. Even just adding the snow shader has totally made it look cool.
Yeah. Okay, so that's it. Shall I go? I'll carry on with I'll just quickly bring in that propeller rotation. So what I've got here is, let's show this. This is one blade. So what we've got is a color ramp with a constant. So we've got sharp edge on one side and then a blended edge on the other side. Yeah, so we bring that, gives us a, that would be one blade, and then up the top we've got another blade, and then they're just added together. So we've got two blades, and when this spins, this uses the frame number, and we bring it in, and we, well, this subtract is just to change the angle, you know, if you wanted to bring it further round or a bit less.
Oh, cool.
So depending on the gap of the spinning blade, you could make it look like it's a bit faster or a bit slower. Yeah, that just changes the rotation on the mapping node. Pretty simple. And then on this one, because it's the opposite side, we're using that angle as well. So you could do that and then something like that, and then add another one.
Yeah, for a 3.
For 3
Yeah.
or 4, whatever you wanted. And that just controls that other blade. So if I play this, you'll see what it looks like. And if I go into why is that not working? Do I need to be cycles? No.
You gotta turn the alpha on.
Oh, I've got it. I haven't got my principal plugged in. That's why.
There you go.
Let's go back to where I was. There you go. That looks better. So looking from above, and all that is just a circle with filled in. So the circle itself is not actually moving, the object's not moving, it's just the shader. And then we can change the, if we bring it up to say 60 frames, it goes faster.
Yeah, getting a little bit of the wheelbarrow effect, but
Yeah,
that's what, isn't that what Wayne calls it, the wheelbarrow effect?
is it the wheelbarrow?
I forget the term.
But yeah, that's all I had time to have a look at yesterday, so, but quite simple. But like I say, you can change these values,
Yeah,
make it
come in
look
and tweak 'em.
faster or slower. I mean, the bigger they are, the gives it a slightly different. Let's stop that for a minute. Let's change it. Take it a bit bigger. Take it to about there. And that one. See what that looks like.
Yeah, this effect can be used for a lot of VFX things, not just helicopter blades, but you can use it
Yeah,
for car tires. You just have to play a little bit with.
So it depends on
Profile.
your spokes and how many spokes you've got, things like that. But like I said, you could easily just change that with these by changing the rotation and adding more. Let's try taking it up. Just take it to there. Let's say 3. Change that one. Yeah, I mean, you could have something like that with the shallower angles and more spokes for a wheel. All you'd have to do is just take these nodes and just duplicate them and add them in again.
So can you go over the rotation? How you're getting it to rotate?
Well, that's just using we get the value node here that's using the frame number. So we change that frame. So it just changes that. And then we bring it into the Z value of the rotation
Oh, okay.
on the mapping node, and that's it. So it just changes the rotation of where the gradient is.
So by frame 3, have you done a full rotation?
By frame 3, there we go. Where are we at now? 1,
Yep.
2,
You
3.
go back to 4.
Hang on, let me just, if I just, so we can just see 1. Let's change this again because it looks odd. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So about 6. 7's back to the start, isn't it? 7's back at 1. Almost.
If you wanted to slow that down, you could always take that number and then divide it by 3. Or
You
by
could,
6.
yeah. I mean, it all depends what your frame rate is as well. If you change your frame rate, you know, if you're, depends what the rest of your animation's doing.
Another thing you could do is you could put in an image texture that has some speed lines and do the same thing
Yeah,
with your rotation.
yeah. I mean, I just threw this together quickly yesterday. Just used gradients to make it, just
what
to
you
give
could
the
do
effect.
is you could do this to make the gradients, and then you could print out into a texture.
Yeah,
And like go into grease pencil, or even into texture paint, and just like get some speed line effects.
yeah.
But
That's a
there's
good
ways to
idea,
do it with the
actually.
shader too. You could probably use a noise texture, and then scale it on one axis,
Yeah,
just to
Okay.
give it like that X factor. But that's a really cool use of it.
so yeah. I mean, we've got no HDRI in here at the moment, so just looking from the top. But yeah, when it's in a scene, you'd get the different colour at the bottom as well. I don't know what I'm using at the moment. Yeah, just a basic HDRI. I'll change that. Get more from above and below. Obviously, you can see this bit in the middle doesn't look right, but probably the geometry of your helicopter is probably going to hide that. But that's just a circle with a rotating shader.
Yeah, if you got those two to line up, because when you stop the playing, they're offset just slightly. If you
Yeah,
got them to line up, you wouldn't have that.
no.
So you could play a little bit with your.
It needs a little bit more playing around with, yeah.
Yeah.
And you can blend it out a bit more. Or less. But yeah, pretty simple really. I mean, you'd probably have to,
Spiky.
you know, if you wanted to add this to an animation where you'd start off with your blades, your actual modelled blades rotating slowly, and then you can hide that in your animation, keyframe it, and then unhide this one at the right time, and then you'd get the transition from one to the other.
Yeah, so for helicopter blades, I got a fun book for Christmas called What If 2, and one of the silly questions in it is if a person could hang off of a helicopter rotor, how long they could hold on. And
Probably
it
not
only
very
takes a
long.
few revolutions that for the blades to really get spinning up. It's just a few seconds really. So in your animation, like you wouldn't have to wait too long before you could turn this on.
Yeah. I mean, you could just do it by hiding your helicopter blades in the collection up here.
Yep.
With the keyframe, and then transition to this one when it's fast enough. Okay, so that's me. That's done.
Correct?
Now stop streaming. Now you're back with the spiky. You can take over.
I had some internet problems, and so I missed your helicopter blades. But
That'll be in the recording.
yeah, I'll watch it. Shall I go next?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me. What's this? The screen. See if this works. I think it works, right?
Yeah, we've got you.
Okay, so I will start where I left off last time. For those people who didn't see it, I had a bunch of planes, and because of how they were made, some were upside down, and I wanted to have them all face the same direction because I want a solidify, for instance, on it, and if they are not consistent, then I have a problem because some go up and some go down. And this wasn't so easy for me because how do I select them? I can't make in one object and then say like, okay, make the normals consistent, because it doesn't work, because they're just planes. And I had a bit of a clumsy way of doing it last time, and after the stream I thought, well, maybe I can do this. I go back face culling, look from the bottom, and well, to make sure I get everyone, I get the X-ray on and just select them. Get into edit mode, make sure you have one active, because otherwise you can't go into edit mode, just in case. And then hold and flip back into object mode. And we can disable the back face culling. They're all facing the same direction. So that was the trick actually, just enable back face culling and you can select the wrong ones or the correct ones and flip them. Very simple actually.
So with back face culling, basically you can't select them. So if you can't see them, you can't select them. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's
Yeah.
exactly the trick. Because
Can
it
you
only
go-
selects what it sees. That's why
Yeah,
it works.
Can you go into edit mode? Go back to the original problem real quick.
Into edit mode, what?
Yeah, flip those faces again.
Oh, that,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. Go back to object mode. Can you do a select by similar and select by normals?
I don't think so.
Have them all selected.
Pattern is for text naming linked.
It would probably be in edit mode. Like you could select all the objects and then in edit mode.
Okay.
Yes, select everything and then go to edit mode.
And then in edit mode.
And then do select similar by trait.
Nope.
No, select similar. I'm sorry, go up one more. By normal.
Normal. You'd have to select one in edit mode.
Select one.
Yeah, and then go.
Select similar.
Select similar and then normal.
Normal. Wow, great. That works as well.
Sweet. We got multiple ways now.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That's great.
That's Blender for you, though, isn't it? Multiple ways to do everything.
Yeah, but this works also. Very good. Great. Thanks.
I actually learned your way. I didn't know that you could do selection based upon backface calling.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
No, I didn't know it. I just thought I could try it and it worked. But this is, yeah, I didn't notice. I'm not a big fan of using the menus, so I try to avoid them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Shortcut for
And
select
there
similar
are-
is Shift
are
G.
There are so many things in there hidden that are actually quite good. So yeah, that one for them.
That's another problem solved.
Next one. Let's disable face orientation. We don't need that anymore. Here's one. I know Kent used this in his human course, or he struggled with it in his human course. Let's go into edit mode, and I want to select this line here, this border. And in the menus you can do that. You can select boundary loops and things like that. But let's say you want to use the alt click method. Let's not use faces, but use this. Now you do this, and it selects only a part, right?
Yeah.
But just click again. Magic.
Wait. I gotta see this again.
Okay, nothing selected. Just click twice. Alt click twice.
No
And it's
way.
something almost nobody knows, I think. Kent didn't know this. I know that.
I think I've
That's
done
how
that
you-
once. I think I did it once by accident. I didn't even realise I'd done it.
Yeah, it's so fun. I really
And
like it.
I thought, here a minute, I don't normally do that. And I've never done it again because I didn't realise how I did it.
Yeah.
And I
Just click
didn't-
twice, alt click
Didn't
twice.
actually think that it was possible.
Photogrammetry, this is a super handy trick because you gotta delete stuff that's not part of your photograph that's been brought in
Uh-huh.
as you create the 3D model.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you're cutting things out and you have to go along the edge sometimes to do cleanup. Boolean ops this is really handy for as well, for cleanup.
Yeah.
Well, there's also.
Like,
is it
can
in
you do that
select?
again?
No, it's not in select. I think there was something.
Omar wants you to do it again. We're all amazed.
Yeah, it's so much fun. It doesn't matter where you click.
Alt and then click again, holding
Yeah,
Alt.
Alt click twice.
There's so many times I'm like, alt click to get around the whole of a whole border.
Yeah.
So many
Omar,
times I
that's
do
a
that.
Blender Y right there.
That's why my
Yeah,
mouse,
for sure.
my left mouse button's worn out because I'm constantly alt clicking.
Yeah. And
Now
then
I don't need to.
well. So I just thought I'd share it. It's not a lot, but it's so much fun. I think, and it's not well known.
No, definitely not.
So another one. This is I noticed. This is from the rigging course from Wayne, and Wayne is a great animator and a great rigger, but he's not very good at modeling. He knows that, right? So what he wants to make bones inside of this the spiral through the center, and it took him about 10 minutes, I think, to make that. So I'm going to show you how I would do this. I'm going into top view, edit mode.
Where's Wayne? He needs to watch
Going
this.
wireframe. And now I'm going to select. He wants every quarter a bone, so from here to here to here to here, and then along the
Yeah.
spiral. So I'm going to select this, shift, and select this, and then I'm going to invert the selection, and then X dissolve vertices. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. I am going into edge select mode. Select this, Shift H to hide the rest. Go into individual origins, and I will go into vertex selected, doesn't matter, but just for fun. You can see it better now, because now I'm going to say S0. Boom. Unhide the edges and ready. There you are. And that took him 7 or 10 minutes in the video.
Yeah, just to get that.
Yeah. Of course,
Excellent.
we need to first make a duplicate of the spiral, because now I destroyed the spiral, the original one, but that's trivial, actually.
But it was fun to watch.
So this is super fast, and it took him forever to do this, really. It worked, so
blown
it was
away.
okay, and I didn't complain, because Wayne's not a modeler, so right. But this is, I think, the fastest way I know to do this.
Oh, but I think it takes much more than being a modeler. It's how you think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think in math in your head. That's why you're able to figure out the shortest path for that problem. It's like you're thinking in mathematical patterns. I don't know. I would never be able to do that, no matter how good I model.
Well, maybe. Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, I think it's looking at your mesh and knowing what you can do to get the same result. There's different ways.
The thing that I was actually
I keep thinking that we need to learn math.
out is that let's see, axis of vertices, and that I could hide these. It doesn't work. It doesn't get back to where it was, but that I could hide the edges that connect the circles, and then when I unhide them, that they connect the points instead.
You're getting my rant muscles turned on, because you know what, one thing I hate of doing freelance here in my country, if you're as efficient as Pikey and you can make something that takes almost everyone a day to make, and you do it in 10 minutes, people will just say, hey, what are you charging so much when you made it so quick? And people don't understand that it's because you made it so quick because you're that good, and you should charge more because you spent a lot of time learning how to get to that level. You know what I mean? Do you know that
Yeah.
that juxtaposition?
Yeah. And it's also, this wasn't my first attempt. My first
Ye-
attempt was a lot faster than Wayne's, but still, this is the. After I did it a few times, I think, oh, this one, I can get a little bit faster by doing it this way, and then finally
Yeah.
to this point when it's really super fast. It's almost magic.
I'm hijacking your brain data with the matrix technology, Spikey.
Yeah. Well, why not?
I think to Spikey's point, though, like the lesson to learn here is there's always another way to do it. There's always going to be a better way, and sometimes you need to just sit and play and ask yourself, all right,
Yeah,
how can I make this work, right?
It's almost like coding.
Sometimes
There's so
hours to find the fastest way to do something, and then if you show that and people say like, wow, that's so fast, but they don't see that you spent hours to actually figure out how to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
you
the
solve them. Yeah, go ahead.
I think that's the point, isn't it? If, like with Wayne, he just wants to get that result was the best way he knows how, he's just going to do it the way he knows. Whereas you could spend hours trying different ways and get in a more efficient way, but you've actually put in the hours to find that way.
Yeah,
If-
exactly.
So
Yeah.
once you know the way, and you can do it that way time and time again, but you've got to find it in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
If you train yourself to 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 figure out the most efficient ways in everything, then you'll get used to it probably. You'll get accustomed to finding out the best way in when you're doing anything. That's it's like Bond, like James Bond. That's a very specialized skill set.
Right. Okay, this was actually the first. Shall I do the other one immediately now?
Have you guys ever seen people model like beach balls and footballs, where they get the pattern basically like Spikey just did? You're when you're modeling a football, a soccer ball, you you keep thinking. I remember I had that problem because I had to do some renders for a sport um, store. They sold baseballs and soccer balls, and I had to model a football. When I say football, I don't mean American football. I mean soccer.
Yeah.
Soccer.
Yeah.
So I kept bashing my head against the wall. How was I going to get those pentagons? I don't know in that uh, circular surface. And I went online to YouTube, and people had figured out a way, a mathematical way, basically, just like Spikey did, to get the ball from total uh, not intuitive ways that you thought you had to go about it. And that for me is always incredible. I don't know how people end up with those solutions. And that's what Spikey just did. And that's a skill set for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't I think didn't Jonathan Lampel do it once on one of the
Yes.
Yep.
You
Yeah, he
something
did.
like that. Yeah.
He did something like that. That
and the
I
mesh modelling boot camp, I think it was in, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
a very procedural way. For people that know how to get to that level of efficiency, that should be really, really rewarded and celebrated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the more you
I've never tried it, but I don't know exactly how a soccer ball, what it looks like.
Oh,
I'm afraid.
how about a challenge? Don't look on YouTube how people do it and try to
No,
do it yourself.
I wouldn't. I would also always try to figure it out myself. Could probably also be done with geometry nodes.
Oh, here we go. Oh my God. Another level of complexity.
Probably, and there's also the tissue add-on in Blender, which might be helpful there.
Tissue?
Tissue add-on.
Like
It's
human
super
tissue?
powerful and it can do loads of things. And it could be used probably for something like that as well. I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to try. I'm going to look up what a football actually looks like.
That can be a course on its own. Some modeling, that approach to modeling, that it's not normal. It's like very parametric, I don't know, mathematical way of modeling. It can be an entire course.
Yeah. You know
you're
what?
saying about a soccer ball. You got the what are they? Pentagons, are they?
Yeah,
Shapes.
but are they all pentagons or are they pentagons and hexagons?
I said
Ah.
pentagons because I don't know another word.
There is actually pentagons and hexagons.
Uh-huh. And some are small and some are larger.
No, they're all about the same size.
Yeah, but the pentagons and hexagons are not exactly the same size because they're
Let me
different shapes.
Have I derailed the whole live stream? Yeah,
I don't
No,
know.
you did not.
I think I did.
Yeah, so in order to do an entire sphere, you have to do a combination of both. You
Yeah,
won't be
that'll
able to
work.
get
Yeah.
one or the other. And I forget. It's got a special name.
Ball.
Well, it's like a mathematical designed. What is it called?
I don't know that. I'll give it a
Yeah.
try after the stream or tomorrow or so.
I remember I had to do other bowls, and it was the same thing. I think you could never model it with traditional modeling. It would take too long. And the way people approach it, I remember it blew my mind. I just followed those steps, and 5 minutes later, I had the ball.
Uh-huh. Cool.
I think Spike is going to be busy for the next week.
That won't take me that long. I'm pretty sure.
There you go, Spiky.
I can see your.
There's a soccer ball for you, Spiky, in the chat.
I can see your wheels
I can't
spinning,
see the
Spiky.
chat at the moment, but I'll look later.
It's got some six-sided hexagons and it's got pentagons. The white hexagons and the blue and the black pentagons. I think that's the right names.
I'll look it up afterwards. I will go to my next file if that's okay.
Yeah.
Unless Sean wants to go first.
No, go for it.
Okay. Let's take this one. So, I'm going to do a flag procedurally. And I thought I'd do this one because it's relatively simple, but, well, there are a few things there. I will start fresh. I'll delete this. Start with a plane. Mesh a plane. And give this material. I don't need this. So I will start, of course, like always with procedural, with texture coordinates node. And I'm going to use the object coordinates for this one. And that is a good reason I'm doing this. The object coordinates, they go from -1, 0 to 1. And also in the y, -1 to 1. The nice thing about this is if I scale this in the x-axis, it still goes from -1 to 1. That is going to be very important. Obviously, going back. So, this means that instead of having this crazy angle with the diagonals here, I can just model it in a square. That's a lot easier. And then afterwards, I'll just stretch it. And this is one of the few cases where we do not apply the scale. And it's very rare, but using object coordinates is one of the few cases when you don't want to apply the scale.
Oh, that's like not deleting the default view.
It is sort of, well, it's even rarer than not deleting the default cube, I think. Not applying
Yeah,
the
it
scale
is.
is like, it's almost never. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to have a blue background with these white diagonals in front of it. And those red diagonals in front of that. And then a white cross in the middle. And a red cross on top of that. That's the order I'm going to do it in. It's, I think, the easiest. So...
Is that the UK flag?
Yeah,
That's
I
the
will
UK
use
flag.
it is.
color.
Yeah. I can't believe you don't know that.
And let's say, so the background is blue, this one, and then this one is completely white. Differences. Now we have to make the factor. I am going to remember it goes from -1 to 1.
Hey,
from -1
you
to
know
1.
what, Spikey?
What?
You could have a Blender file with every single flag of the world, of every country in the world, made like that, and you could sell it in the Blender market.
Yeah, probably. But there are some really difficult flags. But also a lot
I
of
bet
really
you can
easy
do
ones.
it.
The Dutch flag is really easy. The German flag is the same as the Dutch one, only with different colors. And the French flag is almost the same. It's like there are a few that are really very simple. Anyway, I say x goes from -1 to 1 and y goes from -1 to 1. And what I'm now going to do is I'm going to add a vector math node and set this thing to absolute, which means we go from 1 to 0 to 1 and the y also from 1, 0 to 1. Then I'm going to use a converter, separate x, y, z, which gives x, y, and z, but we're not going to use the z. What I'm going to do now is I want these diagonals. So what is this diagonal? At the moment, this is 1, 1, this is 1, 1, this is 1, 1, and this is 1, 1. So if I subtract y from x or the other way around, with the math node, I set this to subtract x minus y, I get the diagonals. At the diagonal, the value is 0 here and here. Where it's black, it's negative, and where it's lighter, it's positive. But I'm interested in where it is 0, and now I'm going to use another math node. Set this to compare. Set the value to 0. So I'm comparing where it is 0. And then here I can make them smaller or broader. The value I'm going to use is 0.25. This is from experience. And I looked up the measurements, so it should be something like this. But because I'm going to use it more often, I'm using a value node. Set this to 0.25. And plug it in here. So, where x minus y, or the absolute of x minus y, is 0, and a bit around it, it's white, and the rest is black. And then we plug this here into this vector. We try it to plug it in, and then we get this. Step 1.
That's the Scottish flag. That's a Scottish flag.
Yeah, but we're not finished yet. That's the point.
Yeah, well that's the UK flag is made up of the English flag, which is a red cross, the Scottish flag, which is a white cross on a blue background on a diagonal, and then the Northern Ireland flag is the red cross, like the thinner lines on the red on the UK, and they're all put together to make the UK flag.
Right.
So Spiky's already done one.
So that's a Scottish flag.
So now we're going to make the red lines, the diagonal red lines.
Yeah, that's the Northern Ireland flag you're going to do next.
Okay, so I'm going to take this compare node, Shift Control D. That's what we have here, right? Now I am going to put this here. And I'm going to take this value divided by 3. Math divide by 3. That is, this part is in the middle, and then this part is 3 units, this is 2 units, and this is 1 unit, so that's why I divide this by 3. And this is not bad, but it's not correct. pseudo factor, and we want this to be white and this to be red. If I plug this into the white one here, you should see something like this. And
Wow.
this line is correct. This line is correct. But this line should be on the other side.
Mm.
This one also. Now if I math node not there. And I set this to multiply by -1. And I compare it to that. You see they jump. So now this one is correct and this one is correct, but this one, these are incorrect. Clear?
Yeah.
Mute. So what I want to do is actually to set this value to minus in this quadrant and in this quadrant, and to positive in this and this. Now how am I going to do this? I'm going to take the separate XYZ, but I don't make them absolute, and then I'm going to take another math node because I like math, multiply x and y, because x and y are not absolute, made absolute. You get that here, the values here are positive times positive, which are positive. Here they are negative times negative, which is positive. Here they are negative times positive, and positive times negative, which is negative. Right? So look at this. This is actually the opposite of what I want. Because I wanted this to be negative and this to be positive. So multiply by -1 would give the answer. And let me see. Now I'm going to use another math node and set this one to sine. And I don't mean the trigonometrical sign, but this sign. And now we have -1 here. It's black, but it's -1 actually. And this is +1, -1, positive 1. So if I take this value and multiply it by the sign, we can plug it in there, multiply by the sign. We should actually have exactly what we want. And we do. Luckily. It's because math is consistent, and if you want something, it gives you what you want, if you do it correctly at least. In the middle it's a mess, but it doesn't matter because we're going to put a cross over it. How are we going to do that? We take this separate XYZ, and if we look at the x coordinate, we have a line in the middle where it is 0, and then we can take a compare node plug the x into the value, compare it to 0, and we have this. Let's plug the epsilon here, and we have our x. Now we can duplicate that one and use the y for this. Not here. And we have this one. I actually think they're too small. Looks of it. So let's set this to a 0.3. Just to see. looks a bit better. Okay. Now there's one thing. I can take the maximum of those two. You get a complete cross like this. But I'm going to scale the flag by 1.5 in X. And then the vertical one gets stretched. So I want to divide it by 1.5. Math for the x1 and divide it 1.5. So it is smaller, and if I scale this 1.5, it gets back to its size. Right. Now this one is white on the other one, so let's this one here factor. This one should be white actually, and the 0 is what we had before. So now we need a red cross in middle, which is actually exactly the same. We already have it actually. We just need a different value for this one. This and then I'm going to math note, and let's say this is what is it?
75%?
0.6. Let's multiply this by 0.6. So we want to take the value here. I want to multiply this by 0.6. Put one here, and the other one goes here, I think. And then we need a red and white one, where the red is 1. So I think that's this one. Plug it in here. SX1.9. There we go.
Excellent. Perfect.
Questions?
That's how they designed the flag back in the old days too. Blender version 1.
Yeah, probably. I'm not sure they had all these math notes then, but I looked up the dimensions of the flag, and I think it's pretty close. Because this is procedural, you can change values wherever you want.
Yeah,
So,
it looks pretty close to me.
yeah.
That was awesome.
Oh, that's it actually. That's what I wanted to show.
That's so good.
We'll actually save it now, because that's a, well, it's not a too complicated thing. This top one is for the cross here, which is pretty simple actually. It's the diagonals, and especially these white, these red diagonals, which have a slight trick to it. And of course, scaling it in object mode is actually quite brilliant, I think. Because otherwise you'd have a really hard time getting the angle right. But that's
Show what
not
happens when you
important.
apply scale.
Hmm?
Show what happens when you apply scale.
You don't want to do this. Well, I saved the file, so there you go.
Just the diagonals are wrong, aren't they? And that that
The
center.
center's back to the end
Yeah.
mode again.
I like how Spikey says that the genius part is not applying the scale. After all he did.
That's the genius, Omar. Remember that. Not how we built everything, just not applying scale.
Yeah, that's the whole point. That's why we use object coordinates for something like this.
Let's say you wanted to, you wanted to have this on something that was, you wanted to export this, right? And so it would apply scale on export, wouldn't it? You could bake this to an image texture at that point.
Well, you see this image here, right?
Yeah.
That's what I made before. It's not an original. This is actually what I made.
But let's say you
Or-
tweaked
or
it or you
just-
made your
or
own flag.
I rendered it out.
Yeah, you could render it out too. That's a totally valid point.
Then you have your image. It's very simple.
Or would you say that for performance purposes, it's better to bake to one texture than to have Blender compile all of that? Which one's faster?
Image is faster. Just bake it
So
to
y-
an image or render it out like I did here, or bake it to an image. It's the same thing actually.
I wanted to make a flag now and have it wave with some force fields and stuff to make the plane wave as if it was the breeze.
Yeah. so
I
you-
would get faster
you use
frame
an
rates.
image. You'd have to use an image, and then you can use the UV coordinates of the plane, and then it can move any way you want.
I was thinking of distorting the geometry itself, but even better if I can make it wave with the UVs.
I would just use the UVs and put an image on it, and then distort the geometry, because it's using the UV coordinates in the image. It just sticks to the plane.
Wasn't there an old tutorial by this guy from South Africa on CG Cookie about making a looping flag on a pole? I think I remember that.
Yeah,
That's it.
I've seen it, but I'm not sure if it was Greg Sal who actually did that.
Yeah, that's his
Was
name,
someone
Greg
else?
Sal.
Hmm?
Yeah, I forgot the name, Greg Sal. Yeah, I don't remember. I thought that it was him, but yeah, I think I
But
remember.
I don't think so, but someone did it. I have seen that, yeah. Looping flag.
Where is that? It must be on YouTube.
Could be. Didn't Andrew Price do one as well? He did one.
Yeah,
Probably. I never
A long
commit
time ago.
that to memory because I always say, well, the tutorial's there. If I need it someday, I'll just go and watch it again.
yeah, but then you have to find it.
Yep.
So
No,
you have to
and
remember where it is.
that's a bad practice because I'd rather have the knowledge,
Yeah.
but I'm lazy. I'm lazy.
There you go. I've just put in the chat how the UK flag's put together with the different countries. We got the England flag as the red, straight up and down, left and right cross.
You can make
Scotland's the
that-
white. Go on.
Spikey. You can make that into a thing. You making procedural flags.
Yeah. You just put your flag in the frequency. In the answered questions. What's this thing called here? Stream questions. And next time I'll make your flag.
Oh,
So-
from the Dominican Republic.
But how do I stop my stream? Can't find it.
Should just be at the bottom.
Okay.
If you make the shield that's in the middle of the flag from where I'm from, you'll be the master in procedural flags.
Yeah, some are a bit more difficult, aren't they?
Oh, definitely. some really complicated ones. The Dominican Republic is not so easy. Is it?
It's got the
It's
shield in the middle, isn't it? I think. Is it?
Yeah, it's very easy, but there's a shield in the middle with
Yeah,
too
but
much
that's the problem,
details.
probably.
You'd have to
Yeah,
use an
yeah.
image texture. You'd
Yeah,
have to.
people.
It's
Yeah.
procedural. We're not going to use image texture.
It's a challenge now for Spiky. Can he do
Yes.
it? It's got leaves and a ribbon.
Oh, fun.
Yep.
It's
It's
that
actually
the-
got 2 different ribbons.
The challenge for Spiky for next month.
The challenge wouldn't be to make it. The challenge would be to explain how I did it.
That's right.
Yeah.
In time.
Making the Union Jack wasn't so difficult, but then you have to explain every step actually. I think I want to do that. I want to explain every step so people know how to do this.
Yeah.
You definitely can be the procedural flag guy in the internet.
I tell you what. Why don't we all make a flag next week? Next month. I'll do the French flag
Yeah, right.
or the German flag.
I'll do the Madagascar flag.
What's
The
that one?
Ukraine.
I've not done that one. Oh, Ukraine. Yeah, let's pick some easy ones.
It's just 2 colors split in half horizontally.
Yeah.
Flag is easy.
What's that?
The Czech flag is also easy.
Yes, the Czech flag is easy.
Oh, the Japan.
It's more difficult than the Dutch flag, for instance, or the French flag, or the German flag.
I can make the Ukraine and Japanese flag.
So next month we've got Spiky's doing Dominican Republic. I'm doing France.
You know, most people just leave out the shield in the middle. They just do the 4 colored squares, so don't worry, Spiky.
Yeah, you can't just leave something out of a flag.
I mean,
Like, it's
if you do
difficult.
that thing in the middle, you're king.
Oh, it's all possible. I mean, it's all geometrical shapes and
Yeah, I'm sure it's.
circle making. I know how to make a circle. I know how to make a straight line. And then you use some sine waves and rotate them, and you can make anything.
And you can make the ribbon, the blue and red ribbons in the shield procedurally.
Yes, of course you can.
Really, that with that waviness?
It's hard.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
I think if you break it down to the geometric shapes that it takes up, it probably makes it easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some
You have your weight
flags
line.
online. Most of them are probably quite easy. Most of them are
They
just.
were designed. Those 19th century people weren't very, very creative.
Don't tell them that.
They're all dead.
You guys lacked art.
It was hard with no Photoshop or computers. You can't
Yeah,
name
right.
them.
They had to sew it all in, right?
Yeah, that's why they just used 2 different coloured cloths and sewed it together, didn't they?
They did.
I don't think so. Probably not.
So what else we got?
They can print it on it with some. Well, actually, they do a lot of it like we do procedural. They make sort of a mask and paint part of it on the hole in the mask.
Are you thinking about doing the shield already?
Oh no, not yet. I've done my demos. I'm going to relax now for this evening, and Sean can tell us about his snow mountain.
Oh, here's one for you. Omar, you could do this one. Kazakhstan flag.
Okay, let me Google it. Okay. Thank you. Oh, Jesus Christ. Never in a million years.
That's, yeah, I'm not sure I could do that. Mind you, it's got a repeating pattern on the side. Is that an eagle or something in the middle? An eagle with the sun over the top.
A hawk?
Or a hawk, yeah.
That would be a fun grease pencil lesson flag.
Yeah.
How to do that in grease pencil with modifiers.
Have you seen that one, Spikey? Kazakhstan?
don't have next to screen, but
I'll post it in the chat.
well, I'll just
There you go.
Google it.
Blanche has put it in the chat.
Yeah, I can take the last minute just to share a little bit about the snow that I was doing in my scene.
Yeah.
More of a stylized look, but the shader actually sells it. When I took the shader off of the snow add-on, real snow, it like takes it to the nice next level, which is perfect.
Okay,
So I can share a couple of tips and tricks.
I want to do the Kazakhstan flag.
All right, Spikey's gonna do the Kazakhstan flag.
It's beautiful, really. Oh, that's great.
All right,
Excellent.
so this is. Let me bring this over to screen 3.
Yeah.
Let me know when you guys can see this.
It's loading. Yes.
Yeah, we've got you.
Beautiful. So I got this from hide reasons. This is Shane Olson was doing a ZBrush tutorial series. He does them live, and he had Mitch Louis. Mitch Louis? I forgot how you say his name, but he's a really, really famous 2D artist. He has great stylized art. And he had this snow house scene. And so Shane was doing it in ZBrush, and I decided to try to follow along with Blender workflow. So this is my interpretation. I'm doing a little bit different things, but I wanted to have like big puffy snow on the roof, and I'm working on this piece now. But at the end of the day, all it really is. So come to the modifiers.
Sorry.
Oh, you're okay. It's really simple geometry. Like it's just a plane. And then I've just added some loop cuts in to make it have just a little bit of geometry. I had a subdivision to it to make it rounded out, and then I just add a solidify. And then I just applied the real snow shader that came with the real snow add-on. And what's nice about this is you can come into edit mode, grab a face. You can kind of make your own little snow mounds very easily. Like the subdivision surface just makes it nice to work with. And you're always dealing with just lower geometry than you need to.
Excellent.
And I did the same thing with these. I applied them and then went into sculpt mode and just kind of moved them around with the big brush once I was done with the solidify modifier for the windows. And that's all it really was so far for my scene. But yeah, just like look at that snow detail texture. If I added a light into
It's
the
pretty
scene.
good, isn't it?
It's a nice shader.
Do a nice little point light here. Bring it up. Bring it right over here and we'll boost up its power. A little warm look. Turn on our scene lights. Yeah, it just shines so nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does look good.
I mean, that's pretty much it. I did the same thing with the ground plane here, and then this thing's gonna get its own little I'm just using basic materials really, and starting out with basic primitive shapes. One thing that I like to do, so I've got a lot of objects. If I want to apply a material to a lot of objects, I usually just set up one material, and I like to block out things with the basic shapes before I make them unique. But when you get your material and you want to do something with the material, make it slightly different, I just select every object and select all the ones that I want to match. And then I just do Control L, and you can just link the material in. Now you don't have to go one by one and change material, change material, change material. You can just select the ones you want. Always select the one at the end that you're going to be linking to. So this is the one I want to link to, Control L and link materials, and you're done. The same went with my modifiers. So when I added more planes, different parts of my scene, I just grabbed the one that had the modifier stack I wanted and Control L, and you can do copy modifiers. And you get all that hard work. You don't have to reduplicate the effort.
So for those planes, did you just copy the geometry you already had, like for the roof?
Yes. Okay, that's something I didn't share. So I started out with just the block out of the house.
Yeah.
And then I went into edit mode and grabbed mostly just this. There's probably a much quicker way to do it. Grab the circle select. And then I just did a Shift D to duplicate, and then P to separate selection. And then I went into object mode and then just added the modifier. So I just solidify, set the offset, and boosted it up. You can pick even thickness to make it all fairly even. And then add the subdivision surface. Now that's why I had to add more geometry on the model, because the more loop cuts you have, the less it swings over.
Yeah.
I don't really need the center pieces where it's all flat, but having it in the center allows me to have some creativity and freedom. So really just using the loop cuts to determine how much I wanted the roundness to be. Let the subdivision do all the hard work for you. And I just right click and shade smooth.
And add the material.
Yep. Add
Easy.
material. Then I just kind of move and bend and push things a little bit. Let the subdivision surface do most of the work. So borrow what you already have is the lesson when making scenes.
Yeah, and if I may, because I was doing selections before, if you're going to top view of the house, before, which you had without the snow, the one where before.
Oh yeah. Just this.
Block out.
Yep. Oh, yeah, go back. You want this one or the previous
No, the
selection?
block out of the house.
Okay.
Now you're going to top view, edit mode of course, face select, and just box select everything. You see?
Oh yeah, good call. Just box select. There you go.
And
I need to turn off X-ray though.
oh, it doesn't. It selects the rest also. It shouldn't do that.
Let me see. Let's go to 3. Box select. Yeah, I did it.
Right.
You
Just
just
that
have
one
this
there.
one and control select that one.
Yeah. It's probably faster.
Although you probably might not want the snow on that vertical angle anyway.
When you use a subdivision surface, it freeforms down, make the snow follow, right? You wouldn't want the snow on this face though, like this series of faces.
Yeah. But yeah, it depends how thick your snow is, doesn't it? Whether you want it right up.
Yep. Now I did a little bit more with my roof. Like I made, I duplicated basically this, so Shift D, and then I separated the selection, and then I actually took the lower edge. Oh, that's so cool! I just did the Alt click spiky, grabbed everything. Look at that. I took this and I did like an edge slide, and then I hit C to constrain so I could go past. That way I could make like the roof structure itself first. So I actually have two objects. I have one that's got a small solidify, and then the snow on top of that. You come back into object mode, you'll see, and I just pulled it out more. But this was all really borrowed from the blockout.
Oh, Mikey, you do me a favor.
What?
Could you write that awesome trick you did somewhere, I don't know, in Discord and on a somewhere, so I can copy paste it to the Y Blender Y Google Doc?
So with the border select, you mean?
Yeah, you can write it to me in Discord, for example. It's just so I can copy paste it to the document.
Yeah, sure. I can do that, no problem.
Thank you.
Okay, are we all done? Omar, do you want to share anything?
No, you guys killed it. I would just be ashamed.
Why?
Never.
You guys know Blender too well. You do awesome stuff.
So do you.
Yeah, you're
Wow.
an amazing modeler, so...
Well, thanks, but yeah, I mean, you guys do things that normally people don't do, that very advanced.
Yeah, but it's just a few things that we do that nobody else does, but for the rest we're amateurs.
That's
Like
right.
Yeah.
There's always
you're-
something to learn.
You're 3 Neos, and I'm a Trinity. But as long as I'm not Cypher, I'm okay with it.
Okay, I think we're done then, are we? Everything's...
I think so. I think it was a great stream.
It was a great stream.
2 hours filled.
Spot on, 2 hours.
Now I've got snow for my own scene out of it. It's great.
Yeah, and I'm going to share that. I'll put that in the chat probably tomorrow. That blend file for the snow, so anyone can have a look at it, play around with it,
Yeah, that'd be great.
improve it if you can. I'm sure it can be. Okay then.
To improve something than to make something.
That's right.
So for next month, are we looking at the 4th of February?
Does everybody have a flag already?
We'll have to do one. I'll pick one that's not the French flag. I'll try something else. But it won't be a Kazakhstan flag, that's for sure.
No, because I'm already doing that. And it looks really great. And I mean, it's lovely. I've never seen it before.
I
Yeah.
had to Google where the country was.
Did you? Did you find it?
Yeah, I had to Google it. It's very big.
Yeah. Is it Russia, southern Russia or something?
Yeah, just
South.
below Russia, next to Ukraine.
Yeah.
Oh no, not next to Ukraine. Jesus Christ.
That's the other side, isn't it? More to the east.
The other side of the world is so big. I'm not used to going to that part on the map.
Yeah, but it also you can't really judge the size of a country from a map.
Oh yeah, I forgot. There's
Because
this
it's
distortion.
projection and it's completely distorted.
Yeah, right. I bet Kazakhstan it's very distorted. The more up you are in the world, the more distorted you are, I think.
You are probably very, very little distorted because you're near the equator. But the further away from the equator, the more distorted it is.
Yeah. England's very distorted. It's a lot smaller than what people think.
It's different than than in reality.
Yeah.
I mean, you look around you and say like, oh, this is not how it looks on the map.
Yeah. So next month, are we all right for the 4th of February?
Yeah.
It's Saturday, yeah. First Saturday in February.
Great.
Sean, you alright with that one?
Yeah, I don't think that there's a conflict for me. It just depends on what work's doing. So I'm hoping to be available.
Yeah,
I
if
won't
you
pick
got,
a flag unless I'm positive I can do one.
I mean, we can
But I'll
always
be available.
swap it for another Saturday if you know if you. We can go second Saturday of the month or something if you need to.
Sure, yeah. So for those, I guess for those who are, I've been on the streams for the past while. I got a new position at my job, and it's a little more demanding than my last one. So I'm able to help out, but I have to take a few steps back too. I'm here, but some days I'm not here.
Little
Yeah, I've noticed during the week I don't see you as much.
Yeah, I don't get much of anything other than work, so a little is a little under exaggerated.
Yeah,
Hopefully it calms down at some point though.
yeah, it comes with the territory though, doesn't it?
It does.
Okay, then we'll pencil it in for the 4th. I won't schedule an event just yet. We'll leave it till nearer the time, but we'll start off with that. Cool.
That's great. Thanks, y'all.
All right, thanks a lot, and I'll see you again soon.
Okay, bye. Thanks.
See
Till
ya.
next time.
Cheers, bye.